Welcome back to the verdict. Just going ahead to continue our focus on the outcome, the reactions for the elections which transpired, which took place yesterday. Well, now we've been joined by Sulaiman Arigbabu, who is the Southwest Coordinator of Transition Monitoring Group. And sitting right beside him here in our Lagos studios, we've got Chukuma Izala, who is a legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on this morning, this gentleman. And then in Abuja, we've got Professor Tahir Maman, the Vice Chancellor of Bayes University. He's also a senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm going to have to start from you, sir, from Abuja, about the conduct of elections and what you've seen. Give us your impression of how the elections went from what you've seen and heard.
Chamberlain, overall it has been a mixed grill. Starting with the positive side, or rather starting with the negative side, we need to sympathize with the families of those who lost their lives, sadly, in this event, in pursuit of largely ambitions of people who, a lot of whom are not really responsible and quite accountable to the Nigerian people. There's absolutely no reason why somebody should lose his life in this business. We know that democracy itself was built largely on the blood of a lot of people, but not in the way it has happened in Nigeria. And we need to call out really the people who are behind this, because these people are just errand boys of some big guys out there who need to be made to be accountable. And if also I may mention, taking off from where the clip where you showed the former head of state, General Gawan, where we said, he said, INEC can only perform where other contenders and practitioners, do well and act well. So this is the terrain in which we are approaching our politics. And we convert what is essentially a civic duty, a civic activity into a military operation. And that's not how it's supposed to be. It's not a military operation at all. And so you now saddle the INEC, the chairman and his team with having to prepare as if they are going to war. If you noticed in the last 1 week, on both this channel and other channels, most of the faces we've been seeing are military personnel, discussions on logistics and security. Whereas we are supposed to be seeing discussions on programs of parties, disposition and history of the candidates who are behind all these parties, to be able to understand their offerings to the Nigerian electorate. So that has been the problem. And it's not really a surprise that some of these things have been happening. We now have a new practice where ballot boxes are completely banned. Formerly, it used to be ballot snatching. And now we have a new situation where the entire area of ballot boxes are burnt down completely. This is a new development, and it's hardly different from the ballot snatching, except that those who snatch hope to be able to convert it into something. But in this case, everybody loses, and even burning down the offices of INEC. Now, these are all sad, very, very sad developments in our politics. Now, having said that, the good side, the positive side to what has happened is that the turnout of Nigerians have been extremely commendable. And it marks really a turning point in our development, in our political process, where the Nigerians are now asserting themselves really to make their voices heard, to elect leaders of their choice. And they have, decided to face any challenge that may come their way, despite all the security problems hovering over the head and the time. I was touched. For instance, when you saw, when you showed what happened in Mararabai in Abuja yesterday, where there was a delay in the appearance of the INEC officials, and you could see your heads. See your heads.
Professor,
they were just unparalleled.
Let me ask you this. One of the issues, as you have also alluded to, is that of the role that the military has played in this process, especially yesterday during elections. Now, it is clear that nobody is above the law, but it would then seem like the military is just flagrantly disregarding that law and getting into, the business of our internal elections. What's your take on that? How do we circumvent that? What does the law say, and what should be done?
Well, basically, we know the role of the military is really not for internal civil order. That's what the law clearly provides for. That's the role assigned to the police and other civil or quasi-civil military organizations around the country. But we've had situations in the country, as I said earlier on, where we have militarized the entire electoral process. And the other time, I think about 850 military personnel were mentioned to be available, to provide service to cover the exercise. Now, this is, if you take just the population of those with PVC, about 72 million, not to talk about the entire country, you will know that the number of 850 police and other military people, other people are not enough to really provide security for
all right, Prof.
security cover for the process.
Just give us a moment. Let's also ask, I guess here, if they share the same view in context of that militarization, as it were, because we've heard what INEC said about this. Mr. Zala, do you share the same view?
I do not think that the military should have any business coming into elections. To start with, the pockets of things we saw would not ordinarily overpower both the police and even the mobile units. These are people with small arms, largely untrained, even if you say they are trained, but not to the extent of overpowering the police.
So are there specific cases that you think should not have happened, and with which agency now? Security agency?
Very many, just like what happened in Okota. I mean, where a few people that came from reports that we got with Marwa came in, and police post was just a few meters away from there, less than 5 minutes. All they needed was to call. Even 7, 8, 10 policemen will be able to stop what happened. If you go to Agoda, some of these are the major ones that we saw. These were areas that police, not even the mobile units, can easily quell. And when you get to rivers, the type from the things we've had, they were not enough for the military to come in. Even if you say that there was an apprehension that the military, if you station the military, just keep them alert in their barracks. When you now have people that are coming with sophisticated weapons that are beyond what the police can handle, that is when you now say you call them, they come out. But not for them to be in various streets, looking at where to enter and where not to enter. When you do that, what you're sending wrong signals for the voters not to come out. You're sending wrong signals to every other group to say, oh, what is happening? We have how many policemen, and how can you think that those policemen cannot do this work?
Mr. Aribabu, what's your own assessment to the elections that we conducted yesterday?
I'd like to first comment on the military thing, because I think I have a departure from their side, because I moved around Lagos, and we saw the military on major roads. They are not particularly close to polling units. At the polling units, you had police and some other law enforcement who were not armed. So in terms of whether the election was over-militarized, of course our desire is to get to that election that is more or less like a carnival, not where you have so much apprehension. But right now, the situation of our country is that from some of our own observation, the presence of the military actually encouraged people in certain areas to come out. Otherwise, in some of these places, people would not have come out at all. I've heard...
so which areas are these?
Generally around the country, especially in areas where you have, for instance, take the Northeast. There are certain places that people will not go to vote unless they know that the military are available.
No, I was asking about, you said you moved around the Southwest.
No, I was in Lagos.
So which area?
I was in Lagos, but TMG had observers, 4,000 deployed around the country, okay? And we are saying that there are parts of the country that if people don't have a high sense of assurance of their safety, which sometimes the military give. In Lagos, the military was not even near the polling units. We saw them. I moved from Ikeja, Agege,